Ricky is 11 and is severely autistic. He attends a special school in Bristol. Like many of the pupils, he has no usable speech and a limited understanding of the world around him. His teachers describe him as personable, but he can become withdrawn for long periods, lost in his own world, and communication with him can be difficult. They wonder if there's any way this can be overcome. Phoebe Caldwell has worked for over 30 years as a practitioner with people with severe learning difficulties and behavioural distress. She uses a method of communication known as intensive interaction to emotionally engage with them. She's come to work with Ricky to see if this method can help overcome the communication difficulties and isolation that his autism presents.
Intensive interaction really is finding a way of using people's body language in order to get into conversation with them. We're looking at all the things they do, all the behaviours, all the sounds they make, all the utterances, all the movements, and particularly the rhythms. And we tune into these in order to get what we call emotional engagement. What we're trying to do is we're trying to set up signals which the brain recognises and to shift their attention from what they are doing by themselves, from solitary self-stimulation to shared activities, something we can do together, so that what has been something they're doing on their own becomes interactive. And this is the great bridge that one has to try and build.
As well as working with Ricky, Phoebe is keen to show class teacher Claire Gates how to practice this method so she can use it on a regular basis.
You know, he really likes to engage with people, and his the way that he's doing it at the moment is taking people to what he wants and touching very gently and letting everyone know what he wants by guiding them.
But of course that is actually him learning to manipulate the world rather than to relate to it.
It's Phoebe's first session with Ricky.
Right, you should have two if you...
She asks Claire to join in, getting her to consider the sounds that Ricky makes.
It starts at the lowest level by just listening to their breathing rhythm. Because the person will listen to their own breathing, they'll actually hear it. So it shifts the attention from the inner self-stimulation to shared.
Yeah.
And so you actually see very often, the surprise. Where did that come from? We're always trying to shift their attention from solitary self-stimulation to a shared activity. Yeah, did you see that? His head came up immediately. He was expecting you to do it with him. And you're trying to tune into any sort of emotional level. So, if they're sort of shouting, you might go, ah. So you're actually tuning into how they feel.
Ricky eventually turns round, beginning to show more of an interest in Phoebe and Claire. As well as being withdrawn, people with autism often display obsessional behaviours. For Ricky, this means sprinkling, running things like corn or gravel through his fingers. Phoebe wants to see how much Ricky will interact when he's sprinkling. It's his most obsessional behaviour, and he can do it for hours at a time if left undisturbed.
We need to pick up on all the positive bits. And it really may be flapping their hands or flapping a bit of string or banging a bead or playing with rice or whatever and watching it dribble away. Although these are fixations, we are going to use them for communication. I think that he likes this so much because one of the things he does a lot is play with his fingers, with his hands, and he's actually giving himself a better version of that stimulus when he's playing with this. And so it gives him a sensation he's really happy with.
So is there a danger of intensive interaction perpetuating these fixations?
I don't think anybody who's used this has ever found that it actually reinforces their repetitive behaviour, because what it does is it shifts their attention from that inner world to the world outside. that's mine, but oh, it happened somewhere else.
After a few minutes, Phoebe develops the interaction by sharing only one tray. Ricky seems to take this well, and his usually solitary sprinkling becomes a joint activity.
As soon as you use their language, you'll get the eye contact, you get an increase in proximity, you get interest in what people are doing, you get emotional closeness. Can I have some more? Thank you. That's great. Now, put your foot there. Oh!